There are 4,315,275,402 Alabama football podcasts on the internet. And now you get to ignore every single one. This is the Houndstooth Podcast. Real talk from real fans. We gump to a standard around here. Recapping the Alabama Crimson Tide and college football from around the SEC and across the nation. This is the Houndstooth Podcast. And here are your hosts, Bill Sylvie, Jessica Brand, John Henry, and Bo Gonora.
And good evening. How are you folks? How is everyone?
Evening, Bill. How are you?
I am doing well. Let me ask you something. Can you guys hear my audio just fine?
I did.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Can you hear this? Do you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that. Mine was already open.
Did you bring enough for everyone?
Exactly.
I sure didn't. I don't think you guys like Ace Pineapple beer, so.
We never know until we try.
Yes. Anyway, there I am in my sartorial virtual Bear Bryant perfection. So I missed the game this weekend. I'm presuming that the 19 points that Texas put up were all late fourth quarter stuff, and we had no problem suppressing them all weekend.
Those were all garbage.
As long as I have no follow-up questions, right?
Very, very true.
So let's talk a little bit about what we saw this weekend. And dear God, yes, we have to. We're contractually obligated. To who, I don't know, but so this weekend, I'm trying not to be histrionic about it. Jumping up and down and yelling the worst, it's as bad as a Shula-led team, et cetera, really does a disservice. And I've tried to maintain
teams.
I'm sorry, what?
Does a disservice to Shula-led teams, right?
Does a disservice to Shula-led teams. Man, I don't know what Bill O'Brien's scheme was. When we look at the breakdown, and not the one that I was having on Saturday afternoon, but when we look at the breakdown tonight, it'll be interesting to say the least, but I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. Bryce was throwing short. His feet were stuck in the mud. Where was that glide? Where was that? Where was that surety of footwork? Did Bill O'Brien tell him not to do that? Like, no, this game, Bryce, don't. I honestly don't know.
So it was almost like a tale of two teams, right? So we had whatever that was for like 3.5 quarters, and then all of a sudden, they decided to put it together. I think it was just a little bit, maybe they bought into the hype, right? I hate to say it, but this could end up being a good thing for them overall if they choose to learn from almost losing to unranked Texas. Which, by the way, Texas was better than unranked, obviously.
Yes.
So, there's that. And I think they are ranked now, at least, top 20, right? I've always not hated on Bill O'Brien like a lot of people have until this past week, and now I'm ready for him to be on the next bus back to the NFL. I just, he's got 5-6 plays, and they just run them over and over again, and it's obviously they're missing the wide receivers with the ability to take the top off the defense, and open up the space. I don't know. Maybe it was the heat. Maybe it was just uncharacteristic. The biggest problem I have is that they did this all last year. It ended up costing them the game at A&M. And it's like it's still there. That problem still exists. So cautiously optimistic, but I'm beginning to lose a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm unfortunately inclined to believe with you on that front. I don't want that to be the case, but well, Big John, what do you got? What is your take on this?
Well, I saw the issues that you guys are seeing, but I'm going to be a counterpoint tonight, I do believe. I'm going to say this. The offensive line, their big problem right now is they're having communication issues. You can tell they haven't played together for very long. That they have to have communication that's quick and concise. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be verbal when you play together for a while. But these guys, they really haven't. And they're, the lineup is shuffled. And you've got guys that played last year that aren't in there yet. And then, some backups from last year and they're starting. They're new. And then they got transfers coming in. That's a whole other thing. We got beat a little bit at tackle. And they were working very hard to push the pocket up the middle on Bryce Young, so he couldn't step into his throws. That worked a lot, and that's one of the reasons he was throwing off his back foot so much and a little less accurate than usual. Although he had a good game. I saw several drops, and I must say this: I did not get last weekend to really watch the game that well. I watched the first half from a fan's perspective and was very upset. And then I had to miss the second half, so I had to come back and watch it later. But when I watched it later, I watched the first half again, and I'm going to tell you this. This is my hot take for the week. Without those penalties, we covered the spread, and we do beat them by 20. Those penalties kept us not just off schedule, but off rhythm on offense. They finally got into a rhythm in the fourth quarter, and we're just moving the ball very well up and down the field. There really should have been another score in there, except for that fourth down debacle. But I think without all those penalties, we cover the spread. The referees inserted themselves into this game, and they affected the outcome. And they were just bad. I mean, I don't even know where that targeting came from because there was nothing close to targeting, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah, that's a show in and of itself.
Yeah, that was a bad group, and they had a very bad game. The defense played very well, I thought. Now, the first quarter, a little bit of the second, we were playing to stop the run, and which is why they were taking all those YOLO shots down the field, and they were having some success on that. And I heard Nick Saban talk about this somewhere, that once we realized we could stop the run with our front seven okay, we decided to drop two safeties back, and you noticed those long shots disappeared. So, and everybody thinks it's because they put in their backup quarterback. No, that wasn't it. We dropped two safeties back. Those routes aren't there anymore. So I thought the defense played pretty well. Uncharacteristic mistakes with penalties, and a lot of those were warranted. And I'm going to agree with you. Bill O'Brien has got to be more creative in the game plan. In his season and 2 games so far, I think I've seen one middle screen, just one, and it blew up. I don't know. I mean, they've got to find something to stop the blitz because people are just starting to bring people and to try to affect Bryce Young so that he doesn't have time to stand back there, and it works. So they've got to do something to slow those down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement with both of you guys, and look, we've got a little flex time because unfortunately our stats wizard could not make the game tonight. I hate this refrain. I hate what I'm about to say, and I apologize to our audience for saying what I'm about to say. But I'll be damned if those officials didn't have it in on us. That was some of the worst officiating I have seen in a college football game ever in the 46 years I've been aware of college football and watching it. That is some of the most atrocious officiating I've ever seen. And the thing that kills me is there are Texas fans saying, "Oh, they were all in for Alabama. The refs were clearly calling them for Alabama." I'm like, in what universe? Were you guys watching like the parallel reality Texas-Alabama game? Because I didn't see that. What I saw were officials who twice called Will Anderson offsides. When I've looked at still shots that have gone, still shot, hit play, watch it till the play goes off. Anderson's in stance. He's not lined up. You can draw a straight line down the defensive line and measure where he's at and see that he's not lined up offsides, and he is holding his stance. And then he gets flagged. Now, we were face mask happy, which was ridiculous. And then there's the issue of roughing the passer in the end zone. The rules of college football state clearly roughing the passer is not reviewable.
Agreed.
Roughing the passer, let me state that again. This is not some crazy Bama Tide fan nonsense that I'm making up. Go look it up. Roughing the passer is not reviewable. If the referee pulls the flag out and says personal foul, roughing the passer, the minute that goes out of his mouth, that's it. You march off 15 yards. That is it. And then to say, there's no penalty, I had it explained to me wrong.
Yeah, I almost lost it when he said that. I'm like, you did what?
Turn in your whistle. Turn in your whistle. Leave the sport of football as an official.
They botched everything about that. There was nothing they got right in there. It was just absolutely awful. Not awful, but awful.
Tonka in the audience says it's the Big 12. They weren't used to seeing a team actually play defense. I like it. Getting a lot of background noise from somebody there. So, who's in a machine shop right now? But no, the officiating was atrocious and it didn't help us. But I know how hard it is to beat 15 on 11. I know that for a fact. But you got to take.
I got a text from my brother at some point. He's like, "What do you think about the game?" And I'm like, "Well, it was halftime," and I said, "Well, they're playing Texas and the referees, and they aren't losing, so
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, the numbers aren't horrible. And we're gonna see that because I wanna go into this, and I know I've kind of run along on the numbers when I'm like breaking down every defensive player's tackles. So I think we're going to stick to kind of a shorter format on the numbers. But if you guys want to hear that, you guys out in the audience want more of the in-depth numbers, you can let me know. So we had 16 first downs. Our third down efficiency was 5 for 15, which sounds terrible, but it was just as bad as Texas's. They were 3 for 12. Our fourth down efficiency, we 50%. Total yards 374. Texas was 371. Passing 213. Texas's passing was 292. Bryce was about as well, 27 of 39 versus 23 of 34. The yards per
can we just talk about fourth quarter Bryce, because that was a good Bryce.
I'm 3.5 quarter Bryce, and I have cable, and I'm the back half of the fourth quarter Bryce, and I have DirecTV. Now, here's an interesting number, though, guys. Here's an interesting number. Although I do want to pause on passing just before I get to this one and say, why were we throwing so many passes behind? What was Bill O'Brien's scheme of drop back and pass -2?
Those may have been audibles. If you notice, and I think they game plan for this, they were playing off coverage on our receivers, and then so they would go to the wide receiver screen, but they would come up hard. I think they've been practicing that all summer.
Fair enough. Now here's the thing, and I was surprised and impressed by this. Rushing yards. We had 161 yards on the ground, which honestly is probably our saving grace for the game. I mean, we all know the touchdown. We all know the touchdown, and that's spoiler alerts, my elephant stomp moment. Oh, it's a toss up between that and Will Reichert. Our yards per carry 6.7, 24 rushing attempts. Compare that to Texas Longhorns. We had their rushing game shut down, which of course is fine because they had a booming pass game. 79 yards total on the ground, over 33 runs. Penalties. 15 penalties for 100 yards. You cannot convince me that the refs had it all in one sock.
Lesson learned: don't let a Big 12 referee crew call in a Big 12 stadium ever again.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I hope to God the NCAA is looking at this, because I had it explained to me wrong. Is the dog ate my homework statement, and the teacher still gave him credit for it. So I mean, I can't even with that. Oh, and when people started chucking stuff in the end zone, and there was no bench penalty called on Texas for that. Anyway, so those are the numbers as they stack up. I don't know. High tide, low tide, elephant stomp. Bo, what do you got?
Well, I have something. My high tide was one Mr. Iceman Will Reichert.
The Iceman, yes.
Yeah, I mean, just how do you? I mean, that was his entire game from start to finish. Kickoff out the back of the end zone, negating any return, and a freaking 52-yarder that would have been good for at least another 5, maybe more. And then that kick at the end of the game, still it was just Mr. Cool, Calm, and Collected. So that was my high tide. My low tide was that stretch where they had 5 or 6 straight 3-and-outs without a first down. It was just putrid. I'm just like, So that was my low tide. My elephant stomp was that duck and scramble that Bryce Young did to set up the game-winning field goal. That was my elephant stomp moment. So that's all I got.
Good call. I like that. What do you got, John?
All right. Let me break it down for my high tide. Outside zone play. The one we scored on.
Okay.
So Emil Ekiyor was playing right guard, and he on that outside zone, they take that big outside step and they start blocking guys that way, wherever they want to go. And he's got a guy who's go behind the tackle who's got his guy locked up and pinned off. And Ikior takes that guy all the way down, puts him on the ground, and he's still got his hand on him, looks up, and there's a linebacker coming. So he takes on the linebacker, locks onto him, and pancakes him too. And he was the guy that was about to make the tackle for about a 2-yard gain, and that sprung him for that long touchdown. So Emil Ikior gets my high tide. My low tide is penalties. Penalties. They kept we would have Texas stopped and we get a penalty. First down, and kept drives going. We'd get a penalty on offense and it would stop the drive. And just the sheer number of penalties kept us out of rhythm all day. That is my low tide. And my elephant stop is Will Reichard in that 52-yard field goal. I am now confident anytime we get to the 35 or inside that we're scoring points. And I'll take that as my elephant stomp all day.
Well, for me, I would have to say high tide is probably our special teams. Will Reichard, I have nothing but praise for that young man. He missed one kick last year, I think, one field goal attempt last year, or was it two?
No, he was perfect last year.
No, he was perfect in 2020. He missed, I think, one maybe.
Oh, right. Okay.
Early on, and I remember our own. We were watching the game. It was on stream. We were all kind of hanging out in one of the discords, and Jess said it was either against Miami or Florida, and her response was, "Good, get it out of the way." And I agreed with that, but no, high tide for me, special teams, particularly stopping the run back after the free kick when we did the go-ahead field goal in the fourth quarter. That Fox, you are an abomination. Fox is a pox. I don't know what they do for football, basketball, baseball. I don't watch those. Professional anyway. But your college football, guys, was just abominable. Whose decision was it for that funky camera angle on the free kick run back? Like they just had a guy with a Betacam on his shoulder and a step ladder in the middle of the field. Stopping, I honestly think Reichard was the only guy between their return man and the goal line, but I don't know because Fox had abysmal camera angles. So hat tip to special teams. Low tide. Now, I could pick through the wreckage of this game and find dropped passes, needless penalties, actual penalties, because somebody must have told our defense that they were going bowling, and that the helmets were the bowling balls because they were grabbing face masks like that. It's not a great analogy. I'm sorry. Anyway, but I'm going to say, and this is very esoteric, for me, the low tide was horns down after the final gun. And Nick got him for that. Those two players absolutely should have known better. Absolutely should have known better. And I think it was Malachi Moore and somebody else who was doing it. That was classless. Whether we just squeak past them or we blow them away, don't do it. I mean, honestly, we're lucky the NCAA didn't say, you know what, those guys can sit for a quarter next week, Coach Saban. Boy, that would have been funny, right? Yeah, horns down. Well done, guys. And Nick handled it perfectly, as angrily as he should have. Elephant stomp moment. That running touchdown. John Henry, you beat me to it, but that running touchdown, man. I mean, you diagrammed it out perfectly. I can't put a patch on you there. But that 81-yard Jace McClellan. Just perfect. Absolutely perfect.
That was it was well blocked all the way around. As a matter of fact, the center was coming around behind Ekior, and he had nobody to block. It was really funny.
Now, Jess is in the audience, and she points out something, and I heard about this, and it made my blood boil. But I want to go back to this. They pulled the flag up when Will was winding up, not prior to the kick. You can't convince me that there wasn't some kind of fix in on this. The officiating and that, I don't buy it. But thank you for pointing that out, Jess. Thank you for reminding me of that. So that's that. And speaking of kicking, we're now at that lovely part in our stream of halftime. So we have a halftime trivia question that we do if you're new to the show, which I think is Todd out there in the audience, where we do. And I'm sorry, Todd, I know you're a Razorback fan, but this is Alabama centric. You'll have to go for your sports almanac on this one, buddy. But last week, our trivia question winner was TJP. And the question was the last home season opening game we lost. And that was UCLA in 2001. I believe that was 17-20. So our trivia question today is very du jour. It is very on point. And it is, by the numbers, who was the University of Alabama football team's most accurate kicker? Who was our most accurate kicker? And there's a lot of things that factor into that, but this is total points overall, and therefore our best. The answer may surprise you. So if you know the answer, you can type it in the conversation down there. If you figure it out during the week, you can leave it in the comments underneath the video. If you do come up with it tonight and you stick it over in the live chat, we'll give you the shout out. And if you come up with it before next week's live stream, do you guys know, John? Bo, do you guys know?
I know because you sent the answer over a little bit ago.
Well, yeah, I did.
I would have had a guess. I was 50-50, and I would have been half right.
Oh, you would have had the last name right, huh?
You're giving it away. Anyway, okay.
Oh,
so,
I have one more thing to say about the Texas game before we move on, and I'm sorry, I missed my opportunity for this.
That's okay.
Quinn Ewers. I watched him before the game, and I do not know how the words, "Hey, that thing got a Hemi," did not come out of his mouth. And I'm done.
Oh wow! He looked like that if Bud Light was doing NIL, that they would bring back the Real Mean and Genius videos and just give him a spot in that.
Well, Quinn, we hope you're on the mend soon again, my friend. That was a shame. The shoulder dump there. Apparently, he will be out for a month. So, best wishes to you, young man. All right. So, with that said, this is normally the point at which we would get Jess's no kisses, no hugs section, but she will hopefully be back next week with no kisses, no hugs. But in the meantime, as I switch the ticker over from comedy, and I put that in massive air quotes, to the top 10 scores, I hand the con over to Bo and to Big John when we talk about around the conference, around the top 10. Gentlemen, take it away.
Okay. John, you ready to do this? I'm going to go by the list you sent me. We're going to open up with Texas A&M and App State. Of course,
what a great way to start this segment.
I know, right? So App State pulled out the heartbreaker and actually beat Texas A&M. And Jim Bob Booby decided that, he would think about turning over the play call ability duties to somebody else. So what was your take on that game, John?
Well, I'll tell you what. The Aggies during midnight yell practice said they had trouble finding Boone with a map. Well, the Aggies offense could not find a way to move the ball with both hands, a map, and a flashlight. That's what I think. Haynes King was 13 of 20 for 97 yards passing, and the team ran for 83 yards with one offensive touchdown. And their other touchdown was a 95-yard kickoff return, and that was it for them. And I'll tell you, they had a chance to go take the lead with just under 4 minutes left, and with the world's ugliest field goal attempt.
Oh my gosh!
That was just. I watched several times to see if that had been blocked. No one touched it. It was just that bad. And once they missed that field goal, App State took the ball and ran it straight down their throat and just took over the game. Manhandled them for the last 4 minutes of the game to put it away. They could have scored a touchdown if they had wanted.
As much as I thought Alabama got caught, in their own, smelling their own farts kind of deal, Texas A&M, they totally just did not give any respect to this opponent, and App State made them pay for it twice, once on the field and once in the checkbook. So,
yeah, that they just got straight up beat.
Yeah, they did. Yep, they did. They got straight up beat. Okay, all right. So moving on, the Florida quarterback from last week evidently did not play as Kentucky won 26-16. Was that a regression to the mean, or was that just a fluke game by him? John, what do you think?
They figured out that Kentucky decided they were going to if he was going to beat them, he was going to beat them with his arm, and did not let him out.
That's what I thought.
They realized, he can't beat us with his arm.
Yeah, exactly. He can't run with. Yep. So that was a good picks. Call.
The first one was deflected behind the line of scrimmage, and the guy almost returned it for a touchdown. And then the second one was returned for a touchdown. So he beat them with his arm. He beat Florida with his arm, not Kentucky.
Yeah. Yes, he did. Okay, well that sets up an interesting matchup in the East, because it was looking like it was going to be Florida there for a week, and Kentucky's actually showing that it's possible to do basketball and football both competently right now. So
yeah. I will say this: if they played that game again, there might be a different outcome. Florida and Kentucky are pretty evenly matched at this point, which is. Did you ever think you'd hear that about Florida, Kentucky?
Yeah, true. Very true. All right. So, you have anything else on that game?
Well, I was just going to say that Kentucky plays Youngstown State at home this week, and this is usually the point at which they go drop a really bad game, while Florida has South Florida at home this week. So they both should win, but the way these teams have been playing in the last few years, they both should be on upset alert, no matter who they play.
Very true. All right, Tennessee and Pitt. I didn't get to watch the end of that game, but I watched a good bit of it. Tennessee ended up winning 34-27 in overtime, correct?
Yeah, stopped them on 4th down.
Yeah.
And I stopped counting overtimes.
My understanding, Pitt was ranked higher than Tennessee, but Tennessee was favored, right?
I think they were favored slightly.
Yeah. So
4?
I don't know.
4? I don't usually watch.
I don't know if that's an upset or not, but Tennessee won in OT. So, Tennessee struggles along. Who does Tennessee play next week?
Akron at home, so they should.
Okay,
they'll be
so
okay.
They could lose.
Yeah. Well, Tennessee's problem was their mistakes in the second half. They lost a fumble, muffed a punt, and had a punt blocked, all in the second half, and that's why Pittsburgh was in the game.
Yeah. All right, so we got Todd's favorite team up here, Arkansas, 44, South Carolina 30. I didn't get to see much of that game at all, so I did just get to see the highlights. But man, I'll tell you what, Arkansas is looking pretty good this year. I don't know if I'm not getting a little bit worried about that. What do you think?
Arkansas is a team that'll keep you honest. If you do not bring your game, your best game, they will beat you. You can't go in there thinking this is an easy game. But I'll tell you this: Arkansas was only up 21-16 going into the fourth quarter. They just kind of closed it out there in the fourth.
Yeah, that's true. And Spencer Rattler, I don't think quite. I think he's a better quarterback than what he's showing, and I think part of that is because he doesn't have players around him.
Agreed.
So, all right. So, still in the East, Auburn. Oh, I'm sorry. So, Auburn 24, San Jose State 16. Now, this was the game that I did watch because, as you all know, my lovely wife is an Auburn girl, and so we watched this game, and it was sad. I mean, there was a point where Auburn had 2 completed passes and 2 interceptions by 2 quarterbacks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is? I never would have thought that by Bo Nix leaving the quarterback room would have gotten worse. I thought that would have been an addition by subtraction situation. And I realized that
in a normal situation, that would be correct.
Yeah, but I realized that Calzada is injured, and he's. I don't know if he was, able to be the starter or whatever, but I guess we'll find out. That was, Auburn tried their best not to win that game. I'm just going to put it out there for you.
Yeah, I saw most of that game too, and it was just it was uglier and sloppier than the Alabama-Texas game because they were doing that against a much worse.
Yeah, so the wife was giving me crap about the way Alabama played, and then Auburn started playing, and I didn't say a word. I just looked at her. I don't have to say anything because they're saying it for me. Yeah, Auburn was like, "Hey, we won by 1 point." Auburn's like, "I'll hold my beer."
Yeah, well, we'll find out about Auburn a little bit more this weekend. They've got number 22 Penn State coming into town.
Yeah, Auburn's next 5 weeks are super tough. They could easily go 1-4, 0-5 these next few weeks.
Oh no! Anyway.
All right. So speaking of misery 12, Kansas State 40. Did anybody watch that game? I didn't watch that game.
2 Missouri quarterbacks combined for 4 interceptions. They allowed 235 yards rushing and a punt return for a touchdown. So 4 interceptions, a punt return for a touchdown, and they ran on you for 235. You're not coming out of that in a good way.
I'm feeling like 40-12 is a respectable score at that point.
Please don't beat us worse.
Yeah, very true. Very true. All right, Mississippi State is quietly undefeated, and Will Rogers is living up to his name, being a gunslinger. They beat Arizona 39-17 in the Pac-12 after dark slot. What do you think about that, John?
The thing that really shocks me about this is Mississippi State ran for 100 yards.
Yeah,
They had 101 yards rushing. And I never thought I'd say that about a Mike Leach offense.
true. That's very true. So, yep, that was the surprising. I kind of thought Mississippi State would win that game, but I didn't think it would be 39-17.
Can I just say something? Just jump in quick.
Bill, you can say anything you want to. Anytime.
I just want to say Mississippi State is such a weird game for us. And we'll talk about it more when we get there. We either go into Mississippi State and it's like this Texas game was. You guys remember Jalen bailing us out in a McCarron like comeback, or we go in there and it's like, wait, we thought these were just like fans you guys put in uniforms because we just beat you 65-0. And it doesn't matter what kind of year Mississippi State is having or we're having. We can go in undefeated, holding all of our previous opponents to a collective less than 80 points. And yet we go into Mississippi State and it's like choke on and off all game. It is very weird. And I think it has to do with the time of year it is and when they get to us and exactly how tired or injured we are. I just wanted to input that. But if you go back and look historically, Bama, it is feast or famine with Mississippi State.
A lot of years we would end up playing Mississippi State the week after LSU. And so, it's set up for a letdown game when it happens that way. So, but I agree with you. Mississippi State, Alabama is a rivalry, right? It just happens to be one-sided for the most part. But hey, they've beaten us in the past. So,
yep. What do they call that? The Interstate 85 War or something like that? Because it's just
it's the highway something. I forget what the highway is that runs to Starkville. Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, it's definitely not an interstate. It's a 2-lane road, I think.
But they're only like 80 miles apart or something. It's not far at all.
It's like a straight shot. It's like an afternoon drive.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ask the players to drive their own cars over, save some money.
Yeah. So Vanderbilt actually is no longer the worst team in the SEC. That would be Missouri. Vanderbilt lost to Wake Forest. 45-25. John, what's your take?
Vandy, they came back down to earth. They had less than 300 yards of offense. Wake's not a bad team. They're not a great team, but they're not horrible. They probably deserve where they are in the rankings. Vanderbilt they don't have the talent to take down a top 25 team. They seem to be playing a lot better this year, though.
Well, they absolutely annihilated Hawaii to open up with, and then
beat them worse than Michigan.
I know.
And Hawaii.
Yes, in Hawaii. So it's like, oh, okay. All right, so we'll keep a side eye on Vandy because I'm not dedicating an entire eye, but I'll just do the side eye thing. So. Georgia beat Samford. That's Samford without a T.
The Little Baptist College.
Yeah, the Little Baptist College in Birmingham. They beat them 33-0. So we learned nothing, and Kirby was putting into the players and all kinds of stuff. So, I watched parts of that game, and I didn't see. I didn't learn anything.
Yeah, I will tell you what. Yeah, Georgia beat Samford 33-0. But after the game, Samford topped Georgia with a mix of fried chicken, enchilada casserole, banana pudding, and a delightful.
No, Samford definitely won the potluck. That's for sure. They're undefeated.
I don't think there's any question.
No, they are undefeated. So
those boys' mamas can cook.
Their mistake mistake was not inviting Auburn to the potluck first, so they'd be too full and low-key to do anything. So Samford, invite those boys over first, then go to the football game.
Well, no, next time send them potato salad 2-day ground.
Oh. All right.
Sit in the back of a UPS truck for a couple days in 90-degree heat. Let's see how good it does then.
All right. So Ole Miss 59, Central Arkansas 3. Did we learn anything from that game?
No.
Okay. LSU 65, Southern 17.
No.
Anything from that game?
LSU's back now, guys.
Oh yeah, LSU's back. Yeah.
They beat a SWAC powerhouse.
All right.
Did you hear how they were talking about the LSU fans were talking about this game? They were like, "Oh, this is like, we're going to be playing for the SEC championship this year." No, you're not.
Brian Kelly puts ketchup on gumbo. Pass it on.
That's what I heard.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And he eats boudin on salt on Ritz crackers.
Oof.
All right. Well, that's the SEC for the week. Bill, what's next?
Well, we are going over to our football stock analyst. Now, if you're watching later and you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, we have a little bit of fun here because better minds than mine have kind of put together a a question. Todd says LSU is going to have a bad year, maybe 5 wins. I think they'll do. I think LSU is a 7-5 team this year.
Yeah.
Honest.
Hey, before we do the buy still hold, were there any other top 10 games that we wanted to mention?
Let me run through the rest of the top 10 real quick, guys, before we do the buy
Sure. No. Go ahead.
Make sure you're making informed decisions.
Right.
All right. So we've talked about number 1, Georgia, number 2, Alabama. And by the way, in case anyone needs to know this, until the bowl committee starts putting out their rankings, we are going by the AP poll for our rankings.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Bowl committee will start poking around mid-October. Yeah.
Somewhere in there, mid to late.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact date. But we've already talked about Georgia. We've talked about Alabama to death. And yes, lots of people are mad online about the Alabama game. So, number 3, Ohio State. Yeah. Number 3, Ohio State beat the Arkansas State Red Wolves 45-12. C.J. Stroud was 16-24 for 354 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Marvin Harrison Jr. had 7 catches for 184 yards and 3 touchdowns, while the defense held the Red Wolves to 276 yards of offense and 4 field goals, so they kept them out of the end zone. Next up for Ohio State is Toledo and the Horseshoe. Number 4, Michigan beat Hawaii 56-10 in Ann Arbor. So they did worse in Ann Arbor than Vanderbilt did in Hawaii.
That's hard to believe. Say that again, slowly in English.
So Vandy went on the road and beat Hawaii worse than Michigan did at home.
Well, in Hawaii's defense, I mean they had to go to Michigan.
True.
Yeah.
And
there is currently no word on how many Rainbow Warriors were treated for hypothermia.
I mean, if you went to Honolulu,
I will update you on the situation.
If you went to Honolulu and woke up in Detroit, would you want to play football? I wouldn't.
No comment. The interesting note about this game: Hawaii has a kid from Tennessee, running back freshman named Tylen Hines. He had 8 carries for 75 yards, which included a 54-yard literal scamper for a touchdown. This kid is listed as 5'7" and 175, which means he's probably about 5'4", maybe $150. He was quick.
Awesome. I love it.
He looked like somebody was chasing their kid out there on that touchdown.
That's why I was able to just weave through their legs and nobody could see him.
I guess. I think I saw him bite somebody on the back of the shin or something.
Bite his ankle.
But Michigan's got UConn and Ann Arbor up next. Number 5, Clemson beat Southern Conference powerhouse Furman, who, let me remind you, has a nicer lake.
They
They
do.
won 35-12, but were outgained 384-376.
Clemson is not, in fact, back.
My note on this game is I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine, Brian Bratton, who spent 7 years as a receivers coach at Furman, who is now a quality control assistant for the Indianapolis Colts. So he went from Furman to the NFL. He's very
dilly, Brian.
I'm sorry?
I said dilly.
Yes. All around good guy. He and his wife are wonderful people.
That's
Huge
great.
Kids too. What's that?
I said, that's great. I'm saying nice things. I know it's a rarity, but I'm saying nice things.
Okay. And next up for Clemson is Louisiana Tech by the Lake. So we're still not going to learn anything about them.
Yeah.
Number 6, Oklahoma beat Kent State 33-3. They led 7-3 at halftime. Nope. But they scored 24 in the third to put the game out of reach. The Golden Flashes fumbled on the first drive coming out of the half and also gave up a safety and an interception. So this might not have been Oklahoma's best game, but Kent State decided to, here we go. Here, it's yours. Go ahead. Next up for Oklahoma is Nebraska and Lincoln. That'll be an interesting game to watch. Who knows what Nebraska's going to come out like. Number 7, USC beat Stanford 41-28. They jumped out to a 14-0 lead, and Stanford just couldn't catch up. Stanford's first 2 drives both ended in interceptions, including one in the end zone on Stanford's second drive. They also fumbled twice, and every turnover led to a score for USC. So,
wow.
USC, Stanford may be good and just made a lot of mistakes. USC may not be as good as advertised. We don't know. But up next, they've got Fresno State in the Coliseum. Probably not going to learn a lot out of that one either. Last up, number 8, Oklahoma State beat Arizona State 34-17. Spencer Sanders was 21 of 38 for 268 yards, had 2 TDs and a pick, along with 54 yards rushing and a touchdown. While Sun Devils quarterback Emory Jones was 12 of 24 for 223 and a touchdown. A little note here. People were riding Emory Jones for completing 50% of his passes in this game. They were talking great things for about how great Spencer Sanders plays, and he was about 53% completion rate. So yeah, you win, you play great. You lose, you don't play great. That's the way it is. Next up for Oklahoma State is Arkansas Pine Bluff in Stillwater. So
APBU, Golden Lions, baby. It's my adopted team, by the way.
So that completes our top 10.
So the only problem with using this week's rankings for last week's top 10 games is you deprive us of the opportunity to say Marshall beat Notre Dame 26-21.
Oh, wait, you're not kidding. Let me laugh harder.
So I had that game on, and I'm sitting there talking, to wife. She said, "What are you watching?" I said, "Notre Dame's losing to Marshall." She said, "Who?" I said, "Marshall." She said, "You mean like we are Marshall people?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, and then she just snickered, So she doesn't like Notre Dame either. So. Yeah, I think so. What's Notre Dame's coach's name? I'm having a brain fart. What's his name?
It's Mudd.
Yeah. So Coach Mudd is the first Notre Dame head coach to lose his first 3 games as a head coach at Notre Dame.
0-3, and the O is in "Oh Heavenly Father."
So I'm thinking that maybe they shouldn't let the team decide who the head coach will be next time.
I'm sorry. That is too funny. I don't care for Notre Dame. We try and hold a degree of ecumenical attitudes around here, folks, but no. No.
What's worse than that? I don't know what's worse: the fact that they lost to Marshall, or the fact that they were 0-2 and still ranked in the top 10. I don't know what's worse.
Now, is my radar gebroken, or was Notre Dame not on some lists this season to have an outside shot at least? At the point
one of those
people not talking about
the game day guys picked them, didn't they, to be in the playoffs? I thought.
No, that would be. Maybe some of the more reasonable people did, but it definitely wasn't Desmond Howard.
Okay, I don't remember.
That sounds like a Stephen A. Smith stunt, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
All right, are you guys ready for this? Are you prepared?
I am prepared. I prepared my
I
list.
want to make sure that you are in a dispassionate frame of mind. And
I prepared my list and I funded my account.
I am centered. I have my Bitcoin wallet primed. I am ready. In a
number
Zen
one's not going to be a surprise.
Okay.
Okay. Number one, no surprise, Georgia.
Yeah, hold.
Yeah, I don't want to spend. Oh, God.
No, I was just going to say hold because, until we see some movement one way or the other, I never really thought that, they should have been third or second, depending on which poll you're looking at. And I'm perfectly fine with Georgia being ranked number one. So I'm a hold on that.
All right. Bill?
Same. Let Georgia play a conference streak against Alabama. And yes, I'm going to say this against Florida. Florida is kind of sometimes they are Georgia's Mississippi State. They catch them right at the right time, and it makes all the difference in the world. So let's see what they do after a long haul through the conference. So I'm holding on Georgia. I'm not selling, and I'm not suggesting anyone sell Georgia.
So they have LSU, they have Florida, they have Tennessee, and they have Kentucky. They have to beat. Not to mention South Carolina this weekend. And by the way, I hate that stupid crowing from that rooster in the stadium. I hate that. It annoys me. Sorry.
Well, what's worse, the rooster or cowbell?
Oh, cowbells.
Yes,
sorry.
I can hear after the rooster. The cowbells, I'll be deaf after that. Number two, probably no surprise, Alabama. I haven't seen anything from anybody else yet that puts them over Alabama.
Yeah, I'm holding Bama. I'm holding Bama at 2. I might be inclined to buy some options on Bama at 1, depending on the strike price. But right now, I'm just going to hold.
Also holding on Bama, staying conservative with Bama until I see Bill O'Brien captain that offense better, until I see some performance. And look, I don't mean coming out and beating ULM 63-0 at home. That shows us nothing. That's like, I don't know, for the tabletop gaming crowd, that's like saying I have 1,000,000 hit points and I can kill God with a single sword blow. So what? Put Bama in an SEC streak, and if they win out, then I'll come back to you with purchase orders. But right now, I am holding Alabama, and it hurts me to say that.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And good on you for being dispassionate about it.
I have to be. I'll go crazy otherwise. Crazier.
And we're going to step out of conference for my number 3, but we're not going to step into the place that everybody else thinks. I've got number 3, Michigan.
I think it's fair, but Bo, you go first.
I could see that. Depending on how much confidence you have in Ohio State. I actually have Ohio State third. That's not my numbers. That's just, power ranking numbers, several different ones I looked at over, and I'm like, okay, fine. So I could go either to 3 or 4 for Michigan. I have a 4th, but I'd hold them. I'd hold them at third, definitely, because they're overvalued. Now, if they bump up to second, I'm selling as fast as I can.
All right. Bill?
Well, first of all, if they bump up to second, it's because Bama's not there. And that's scary because...
Well, that's true, but,
I don't see Yuga falling 2 spots unless they just get blown out 75-0 this coming weekend, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Hey, Georgia might get snake bit by Spencer Rattler.
Oh, you've been waiting all night to say that, haven't you?
I actually have a joke I've been waiting to tell, but it's going to have to wait.
Me, I swear.
I swear. Yeah, mine's going to have to wait till after the game because it's not football related.
So, yeah, fall is coming. Khakis are in. I'm buying Michigan. I'm buying Michigan. I'm doing it. I know. I shouldn't. I shouldn't say that because khakis, right? But yeah,
khakis are classic.
They are. I mean,
they
hey,
never fully go out of style. I mean, maybe you go with a pleated front. Maybe pleats go out of style. You go to a flat front. But khakis are always there.
That's right. If you worked IT in the 90s, it was pretty much the official uniform. Your company's
hey,
what?
It still is.
It still is. Okay. Your company's polo and khakis.
Yep.
With a pair of Rockports.
With a pair of damn right.
But I think the Rockports are out of style now. So the Birkenstocks are coming back.
Huh.
Hippie shoes?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a Birkenstock story, believe it or not. Right after I got married in the late 90s, I got a job offer, moved to Pittsburgh. So I put in my 2 weeks. I told my boss what was going to happen, and I put in I gave him, I think, 4 weeks notice because it's going to take a while to train a guy on my job. So he came in, he's like, all right, hold on to this for another 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, okay. But he went, we started working on the thing. 2 weeks later, he comes into my office with a box. Okay, here's the thing. They're officially a competitor. We're walking you out. You're getting paid a full 2 weeks plus your vacation after. So I'm like, nice. So I spent 2 weeks at the pool, not packing, because we had a company packing for us. Excellent. One of those days, I jumped in the pool and left my pinky toe on the side. Broke my pinky toe. Could not wear shoes because it was swollen so bad it was extremely painful. So my doctor said, I can get you $100 pair of orthopedic shoes, or you can go buy $100 pair of Birkenstocks. I said, Birkenstocks it is. Had to start my new job first day, orientation, wearing a pair of Birkenstocks.
Love it. Cool story, bro.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Let's back to the thing. Number 4, Ohio State. They had to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just hold that. I mean, I don't want to soil my portfolio by owning any of Ohio State, but if I had them at 4, I'd just hold it.
Okay.
I'm kind of dispassionate about Ohio State. I'll hold. I mean, Ohio. They're one of those teams that can catch you if you're sleeping. But honestly, I don't feel hot nor cold on them. But I don't want to drop something that's good. So Yeah, but I mean, what have we learned about Ohio State? They beat Notre Dame. So what?
So did Marshall.
Yeah, so exactly. So
Sorry,
did
I've been
Marshall.
waiting to say that.
I mean, if we look at Ohio State through the season, I mean, not that there's much to say about that, but I mean, they beat Notre Dame. They beat Arkansas. They're going to play Toledo. Is that really something you want to build?
They beat Arkansas State.
I'm sorry.
The Red Wolves. The Red Wolves.
Sorry,
Yes.
the Red Wolves. But Arkansas State and Notre Dame, is this a portfolio you want to try and build?
Actually, I would like to see Arkansas State and Notre Dame. That might be a good game.
Well, still, they've those are the two teams that Ohio State's beaten, and we're talking about ranking Ohio State, third. I don't buy it, and I'm not buying it. So, Todd,
are we selling Ohio State or holding?
You know what? I'm holding. Toledo's going to show us nothing, and honestly, I think they're going to get beat by Wisconsin. I said it.
Okay.
That's a take. I'm trying to think what Wisconsin did.
I think they're going to catch them sleeping, and I think it's going to happen.
That's interesting. Okay. Didn't Wisconsin lose this last week?
They did. It's not. Look, I didn't say it was a good take.
That's fair.
I didn't say it was a good take. I just think that they're sleepwalking through Notre Dame, Arkansas, and Toledo, and their Texas moment may come.
Well, those four have been the top four in some arrangement the whole season, and there's a reason, because immediately after number 4, there's a drop off. And I had several teams in the top 10 this last week. Apparently, I cursed the bottom half of the top 10 because most of those guys lost. I don't think I even had Clemson in, and so now that I understand it's cursed, I'm rethinking it. But anyway, after it gets a lot more difficult after number 4. It really does. So looking at and I could be wrong. I could be very
difficult
wrong.
or pointless. I'm not being snarky. Honest question: difficult or pointless?
I mean, at this point in the season, it's probably pointless.
And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying, well, it's pointless. Don't. No, I'm just saying, though. I mean, when you start talking about teams down there. But anyway, go ahead.
All right. Right now, I've got number 5. I've got Kentucky. Now,
I think that's a little high, so I'm going to sell. I'm going
to sell Kentucky too.
Yeah, I think that's just a bit overvalued, right? The price to earnings way up there. It's time to sell.
Well, yeah, I understand, but my question always comes back to who else would you put there? And a lot of these, 5 through 10 is almost a pick 'em.
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
It's a big drop off, but there are several teams that are bunched right there. Because my number 6 is Arkansas.
I would hold that. I have them at 7.
All right.
I've got Arkansas at 6, and I'm buying. And I'm not just saying that for Todd.
All right. Yeah. Hey, I'm not above pandering. So Todd, here you go, buddy. Now number 7, you could make an argument for bringing them up, but I just haven't seen enough out of these guys yet. Oklahoma.
Yeah, I had Oklahoma at 6. Like you said, it's like they're not at 6 because of what they've done. They're at 6 because they've done what was expected of them so far.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just a bunch. There's a pack there right at this level.
Yeah.
So what do you think? So you'd be buying or holding?
I would just hold that.
All right, Bill, what are your thoughts on Oklahoma at 7?
Oklahoma at 7. I got to see more out of Oklahoma. I'm a hold, but this early in the season, can you go in with a full stack? Can you go all in on any one team? Catch me with Oklahoma as far as moving up or down, say second week in October, and I'll give you a more definitive answer. But right now, I'm holding Oklahoma only because I haven't seen enough performance out of them. Jessica says, give you any number, or give her any number, and she'll give you her team. 72. There's a number for you. So yeah, I'm holding Oklahoma.
Jessica, be careful what you're asking for. She's got NIU. Okay.
Well, you know.
Well, she's got the magic spreadsheet. I do believe she's got it down to a science.
She does. All right. What do we got next, Big John?
All right. Number 8, USC.
That's a little high for me right now. I would sell USC at 8. I have Utah at 8. I think Utah's a better team. I think Utah's a better team than USC. Okay.
Yeah, maybe. I have a hard time with Utah in the top 10.
Okay. That's why my list is not yours. So.
Yeah, that's true. It's your money. All right, Bill.
Oh, I'm not sold on USC at all. I mean, they're a West Coast team, for crying out loud. You expect me to buy that? They do the same thing every year. They march in with bravado and, we've got this great young quarterback, and then they sink without a trace. USC, UCLA. I mean, the best thing to come out of California, football player wise, in the last 30 years is Bryce Young, and he came to Alabama.
Hey,
so from where I'm sitting, I'm sorry.
Don't forget Najee Harris.
And Najee, I'm sorry. And Najee, you're right. You caught me.
But from Barnett. Oh, wait, sorry.
What? Who?
Don't make me come up there. It's only like a 7-hour drive. No, I have no confidence in USC to maintain through the season. Their numbers are not great. I had the numbers in front of me here for USC, but no, I don't. I don't have a strong feeling about USC, but looking at them, who have they got next? Fresno, Oregon, Arizona, Washington. They don't run into anything till they hit Utah at home halfway through, or is it all the way to? No, it's halfway through October. So I have to be dispassionate, and I have to say I'll buy USC. I don't like it, but I will buy USC if you're selling, only because they're gonna hit the wall. We will all be selling USC come the 15th.
Bill, can I just say I really love the way that you pronounce Oregon as if it's a geometric shape? Oregon.
I have a plate full of gaming dice in front of you. Oregon. Y'all from Oregon? Ain't that the coach at LSU? No, he left at Oregon.
All right. Number 9 is where I have Clemson.
Yeah. I'd probably still sell it. That's
really okay. You don't think they're a top 10 team?
I think Penn State, Tennessee, and Mississippi State are better than Clemson. I do not have Clemson in my top 10.
The thing with Clemson is they have a top-notch defense once again, and it will keep them in a lot of ball games until they can slop around and score enough points by hook or by crook. For example, against Georgia Tech, they blocked 2 punts to get one of them in the fourth quarter up 17. which I thought was not exactly great sportsmanship, but they were trying to get those points, and so they find a way. I don't think that offense is atrocious. It got better the second half of last season, but it's still bad, and that's why I had trouble putting them in the top 10 last week. So, Bill.
So here's my thing with Clemson. First of all, I'm a sell on Clemson, but I got to tell you why. And I got to unfortunately do this to you. I got to put on my Colin Cowherd impression. Clemson has a Dabo Swinney problem. He is not adept. Dabo Swinney is still stuck in 2016. So that's all the Colin you guys get tonight. I firmly.
You're getting better at that. That was good. That was good. You just. I mean, it's a polish, but there's potential there.
It comes at a cost, and that is having to listen to Colin Cowherd speak. But no, I'm going to say. I'm going to say that. In all seriousness, I do feel Bill Sylvie, no joke. I feel that Clemson has a Dabo Swinney problem. He has the perfect team to win the national championship in 2017. He has shown utter rigidity. Now, teams have broken on that rigidity. But ask 2012 Nick Saban all about rigidity and hidebound adherence and inflexibility to scheme and schema. I mean, I know you're in the audience, Jess, but back me up on this. It is an ongoing, lingering problem. And until Dabo Swinney says to his sons or his best buddies, sorry, I need somebody different in the coordinator's booth, that problem is not going away. And because that problem is not going away, all I can say with Clemson is because they are relying on others' inconsistency instead of their own flexible consistency, sell Clemson.
Well said. Well said. Okay. One more to go. Number 10, Oklahoma State.
I mean, that's a. So I have Oklahoma State 14. So going by your rankings, I would be tempted to hold them and see if they climb a little bit before I sell. Sadly, I have Tennessee at 10, and it really, really hurts me to say that, but that's where
I can't. No, they're not there. They are not there.
You are lucky I don't have the rant on the soundboard yet, or I would play it at you for that, Bo. And fans all know the rant.
We could probably all just recite it.
I try to do. Yeah, we could. Yeah, we all know it by heart. I try to do this ranking based on analytics and not personal feelings. Otherwise, there would be 0 orange on this list.
No, I understand. And we have to maintain a degree of dispassionate analysis, but that,
see, Jessica agrees with me. She got Viles number 10.
Viles are number 10. I'm buying Viles at number 10. Ugh. Sorry, that's stuck in my throat. But Jessica is right. I'm buying Viles at number 10. And I think they're lurking like a snake in the tall, uncut grass.
Don't forget, my number 10 is Oklahoma State.
Well, you're stuck with orange too, so.
Orange and black.
Yeah, but
Ugh.
what I'm stuck with is Halloween jammies because they're black and orange.
Yeah. So that's where we are, folks. That's the stock ticker. It's a fun little thing we do on the back half of the program. Thank you, of course, gentlemen, for putting that together. That is always a lot of fun. We've got a game coming up this weekend against ULM.
Yes, we do. I don't care. You know what? I want to see 0 penalties. I realize that's not going to happen. And I don't really care. I'm not looking for a blowout. I just want consistent play without the stupid mental mistakes.
Agreed.
That's all. I'm not asking for you to, save the world. Just do your job. That's all I want. Just don't want to see some consistency.
Yeah, I want to see the offensive line communicate better and not let free rushers through, and I want to see the receivers sit down in the zone and take off on a.
Yeah, are we going to see? You think we're going to see some O-line shakeup this week?
We've got the one guy who went out of the program for, I guess, the summer or something to get his.
Oh yeah. What are you talking about?
What's his name?
It escapes me right now. I know who you're talking about, though.
Yeah. Anyway, hopefully he's working his way back in and getting better and going to be in shape, and maybe we put him in there. We need help at tackle right now.
How many 5-star tackles do we have on the roster? It's like 4,
the
right?
question is how many good 5-star tackles.
Well, I mean, it's the Brockmeyer twins. It's amazing to me that we haven't at least seen something from them. So I don't know.
I wish I could tell you.
Yeah.
I need to see what I want to see out of this Alabama team. And unfortunately, what I want is not necessarily beneficial to them. But I want to see fewer slant passes behind the line, please, Mr. O'Brien, please. I want to see more downfield shots taken. I want to see a hell of a lot less holding. I do want Alabama to get one very late game penalty made by a walk-on or somebody who's looking at the transfer portal already, because when they make it, Nick will be incandescent, and I mean that in an extremely negative sense. But just the one. Not that knocks anybody out of a game or due to an injury or anything. I want to see the left side of our freaking offense. I want to see those guys get worked out and just get pounded on play after play after play after play. Those guys have got to get tempered in the forge. We have got a road game against a resilient conference opponent coming up. I need Nick to sit down and have a heart-to-heart with O'Brien and say, show them the weak stuff. Do it live under fire. Make these kids HTFU, because honestly, if we go out there and run the first 3 pages of the playbook and blow away ULM 63 points to nothing, guess what's going to happen when we go in to Arkansas?
Yeah. That doesn't help them at all if they, if it's 52 to nothing at halftime. So I agree with you. I want to see them work on the things that they're weakest at right now, because when they get to Arkansas, they're going to have to bring their A game and do the stuff that they're best at to the best that they can.
My God, I don't want Alabama to lose to. If Alabama lost to ULM this coming week because of absolutely atrocious reacting mental mistakes, which are, it's one of those cases where M&Ms do not make friends out of Nick Saban. Mental mistakes. Then we could hang it up for the season as far as title hopes, right? I might get a shot to see them at the Citrus Bowl, though.
Well, there's always that.
There's always that. I just feel bad for the team that would have to play Alabama because they just bully them for 50 minutes of football. But anyway, better sports writers than me and better people than sports writers, that is to say Nick Saban, have come out and they've broken down this game, and I think there's a lot more moving pieces than we're aware of, and a couple of reporters, or rather a reporter, he was split in twain by Nick's irritation, but he was one reporter to start it, spoke about expectations, about score expectations and spreads and so on. And what it came down to, and I won't attempt to repeat Nick's eloquence, was that it doesn't matter. Execution matters.
Yes, exactly.
Play acumen matters. Expectations of blowouts or clutch losses or wins is secondary. Yes, it can point up weaknesses and so on and where we might lie in the future, but that is getting outside process thinking. And we have to remember, in this program, as fans, we must embrace process thinking. The next game is ULM. It kicks off Saturday afternoon. I will be there. My hopes will be that Alabama will win. My hopes will be that ULM will test the left side of their offense, play in and play out, and bring pressure over there, and that Alabama responds to it by firming up and stopping people from putting Bryce under constant pressure. So that's what I've got for ULM. Anyone else? Sorry. Anyone want the talking stick?
Yeah, no, John, what do you got? What do you think?
Well, like I said, I'm looking for improved offensive line play. I want to see better communications. I want to see them, not be able to push the pocket up the middle on passing downs. I want to see better communication and better execution from the wide receivers. I want to see them sitting down against the zone. I don't want to try to overrun it. I want to see better hands out there. Defense, just keep playing and clean up the mistakes, clean up the penalties, all the way around. Reichard, you just keep doing what you're doing, buddy. And that's all.
Yeah, nobody talked to Will this week. Just leave that boy alone and let him do what he's doing.
Will, here's a copy of the special teams handbook and Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. We'll see you on Saturday morning.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all I've got for this week. Of course, Jessica Brand was out on special assignment. We miss you, Jess. Hopefully you'll be back next week and we'll have lots of cool stuff to talk about regarding the game. I'm just kidding, folks. She's over in the comment section. It's fine. So next week, ULM. Next Thursday, we have a show coming up, of course, but also I would like to announce this because I think this is really cool. We have 2 guests in October, folks. We have 2 guests to get ready for. So clean up, throw your empties away, make sure the beer bottles are put away. The box with the stale pizza in the fridge has gotten thrown out.
Just put on your good t-shirt.
Yes, put on your good t-shirt, because if you're an Alabama fan, you, of course, and you're on the internet, you are hopefully aware of a fantastic YouTube channel. And if you're not subscribed, get subscribed. It's called Bama Rewind. And I have reached out to the folks at Bama Rewind. We're going to have them on the show. Bama Rewind is a fantastic repository of game highlight film. It's not game film, okay? You're not getting like the full 24 angle, full field view with no announcers, but it is still darn good. And this guy has tapped into the vaults. He goes, you want to know what Alabama's season looked like back in the late 1940s? He's got game films to show you. And he has a fantastic YouTube channel. So we're going to have him on at a to-be-decided date in October. Also coming in October for guests, we have a very special guest. Bama Rewind is a special guest also. But we have another special guest. But I'm not going to give that one away yet. But I think you guys are all going to get a huge kick out of it. My teammates know, Jessica and Bo and John, we've all been talking about it in the back room, and you guys are going to love it. You're absolutely going to love it. So,
hey, Bill.
Yeah.
Don't forget to roll the end credits.
I will roll the end credits, and I will not close them. I will not accidentally close them. So, for Jessica Brand, I've been Bill Sylvie. This is John Henry and Bo Ganora saying good night, roll tide, and we'll see you next time.